The day heaven burned. Morning started like any other aboard the civilian transport vessel New Dawn. Captain Marcus Webb watched his daughter, Emma, play with her friends in the observation deck while their ship drifted peacefully toward the Mars colonies. 300 families had chosen this route for its safety, its beauty, and its promise of a better life among the red planet's growing settlements. The Cytherian fleet materialized without warning. Their ships emerged from hyperspace, like silver daggers cutting through the void, surrounding the defenseless transport before anyone could even sound an alarm. Captain Webb had heard whispers about these aliens in the outer colonies, rumors of a technologically superior race that viewed humanity as little more than amusing pets. The boarding was swift and efficient. Cytherian soldiers moved through the ship's corridors with the casual confidence of beings who had never encountered serious resistance. Their translucent armor shimmered with built-in shields, and their weapons hummed with energy that could vaporize steel. They spoke in melodic tones that their universal translators converted into cold, clinical commands. All adult humans will remain in designated areas, announced their leader, a tall figure whose face remained hidden behind a crystalline mask. Children between the ages of 5 and 15 will be relocated for educational purposes. Resistance will result in immediate termination. The screams began immediately. Parents fought with desperate fury against creatures whose strength exceeded human capability by orders of magnitude. Captain Webb watched his wife Jessica tear at a Cytherian soldier's armor, while Emma cowered behind an overturned table. The alien backhanded Jessica with casual dismissal, sending her crashing into the bulkhead where she lay motionless. Emma looked at her father, with eyes that held too much understanding for an 8-year-old. "Daddy," she whispered, as gloved hands lifted her away from him, "come find me." The Cytherians took 237 children that day. They left behind broken parents, shattered families, and a message that rippled across human space. Like a shockwave, humanity was to cease all expansion beyond the Sol system. Any attempt to venture into what they called civilized space would result in the immediate execution of all captured children. The aliens departed with the same casual efficiency with which they had arrived, leaving the New Dawn drifting in space with its cargo of grief and rage. Captain Webb cradled his unconscious wife while staring out at the stars that had once seemed so welcoming. The Cytherians had made a critical error in their assessment of human nature. They had assumed that taking humanity's children would break their spirit. Instead, they had just given every human in the galaxy a reason to become something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The message that reached Earth's government was simple. The children would be returned unharmed in exchange for humanity's permanent confinement to their home system. But humanity had a different message to send back. The forging of Fury Admiral Patricia Kane stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Council, her weathered face reflecting the weight of a decision that would reshape human civilization. 6 months had passed since the Cytherian abduction, and every attempt at diplomatic contact had been met with the same cold response: submit to isolation or watch your children die. They believe fear will control us, Kane declared to the assembled representatives. They think we'll accept permanent imprisonment rather than risk our children's lives. They don't understand that they've given us the greatest motivation any species can possess. The room fell silent as she activated the holographic display showing construction yards across human space. Massive shipyards orbited Earth, Luna, Mars, and every major colony world. Each facility worked around the clock, their foundries glowing with the heat of humanity's industrial fury. Chief Engineer David Sullivan joined Kane at the podium, his hands still stained with the grease and metal shadings of his latest creation. "We've retrofitted every civilian ship with military-grade armor and weapon systems. Cargo haulers now carry missile batteries. Passenger liners mount particle cannons. Even our smallest shuttles can fight." The Iron Resolve hung in Earth's orbital shipyard like a monument to human determination. At 3 kilometers long, it dwarfed anything humanity had ever built before. Its hull bristled with weapon emplacements. Its engines promised speeds that pushed the boundaries of human engineering, and its cargo bays held enough firepower to level continents. But the Iron Resolve was just the beginning. Sullivan's presentation showed design schematics for an entire fleet of warships, each one incorporating lessons learned from analyzing captured Cytherian technology. Humanity had reverse-engineered their enemies' shields, improved upon their energy weapons, and developed countermeasures for their boarding techniques. The Cytherians made one crucial mistake, Kane continued, her voice carrying across the chamber with military precision. They revealed themselves to a species that has spent its entire evolutionary history turning tools into weapons and weapons into better weapons. They showed their technology to the descendants of beings who once hunted mammoths with sharpened sticks. Captain Thomas Chon, recently promoted to command the Iron Resolve, stood to address the council. His own daughter had been among those taken, and his eyes held the cold fire of a parent denied justice. Every ship in our fleet carries the same message. We're not negotiating. We're not compromising. We're coming for our children, and nothing in this galaxy will stop us. The production statistics were staggering. Human colonies had converted entire economies to warship construction. Mining operations worked triple shifts to feed the hungry foundries. Scientists pushed the boundaries of physics to create weapons that could challenge alien superiority. Engineers worked themselves to exhaustion, designing ships that could carry humanity's wrath across the stars. The transformation had taken months, but its results spoke for themselves. Humanity had built not just a fleet, but an expression of parental fury that would echo across the galaxy. The Cytherians had wanted to break human spirit by taking their most precious treasure. Instead, they had forged that spirit into something unbreakable. The hunt begins. The human armada departed Sol System with the quiet efficiency of a funeral procession and the deadly purpose of a pack of hunting wolves. 67 ships of various classes formed the largest military force humanity had ever assembled, their hulls gleaming with fresh armor, plating and bristling with weapons that had never been tested in actual combat. Admiral Rebecca Torres commanded from the Bridge of the Vengeance, a battlecruiser whose name reflected humanity's mood perfectly. Her tactical display showed the formation spreading across space like an expanding web, each ship maintaining perfect formation while scanning for any trace of Cytherian presence. The first contact came 3 days out from Sol, when long-range sensors detected a Cytherian patrol consisting of 4 ships near the Proxima Centauri system. The aliens had been monitoring human space with the casual confidence of beings who considered themselves completely superior to their primitive neighbors. Commander Jake Morrison aboard the destroyer Righteous Fury received the honor of humanity's opening statement. His ship accelerated toward the Cytherian patrol, with engines pushed beyond their theoretical limits, closing distance at speeds that made his crew's vision blur and their inner ears scream in protest. The Cytherians detected the approaching human ship with what appeared to be amused curiosity rather than alarm. Their communications, intercepted and translated by human intelligence, suggested they viewed this as an entertaining diversion rather than a genuine threat. Their patrol leader transmitted what the translators rendered as roughly equivalent to "Look, the pets want to play." Morrison's response came in the form of a full spread of plasma torpedoes, followed by concentrated fire from every weapon system his ship carried. The lead Cytherian vessel's shields flared brilliantly as they absorbed the first wave of attacks, holding steady against the primitive human weaponry, just as their designers had intended. Then the second wave hit, and the third, and the concentrated fire from 6 other human ships that had approached from different vectors, while the aliens focused on Morrison's obvious frontal assault. The Cytherian shields collapsed in a cascade of failing energy fields, and their hull armor proved considerably less impressive than their propaganda had suggested. The lead ship came apart in sections, its atmosphere venting in crystalline clouds, while escape pods ejected like seeds from a dying flower. The remaining 3 Cytherian ships attempted to retreat, but human pursuit was relentless and methodical. Admiral Torres had studied every recorded engagement between humans and aliens, analyzing their tactics and identifying weaknesses that could be exploited by determined opponents. The aliens relied heavily on their technological superiority, but they had never faced enemies who approached combat with the systematic brutality that humans brought to warfare. Where Cytherians saw individual battles, humans saw data points in a larger campaign of total victory. 2 more alien ships died under concentrated human fire before the survivors managed to escape into hyperspace. But their retreat carried more than just news of unexpected human resistance. It carried something far more dangerous: the first seeds of doubt about Cytherian invincibility. Admiral Torres gathered her fleet commanders for tactical assessment while pursuing the retreating aliens deeper into previously forbidden space. The engagement had revealed crucial information about alien capabilities and limitations, data that would be transmitted back to Earth for analysis and incorporation into future ship designs. More importantly, it had proven that Cytherians could be killed. The galaxy's seemingly untouchable masters had revealed themselves to be merely advanced, not invincible. And humanity had just begun to show them the difference. When monsters learned to fly, the Cytherian High Command convened an emergency session. Aboard their fortress city of Eternal Dominion, a massive space station that served as both government center and symbol of their species' mastery over lesser races. For the first time in their recorded history, they faced reports of successful resistance from what they had classified as a primitive species. Overlord Zithic reviewed the tactical data with growing disbelief. Human ships had somehow overcome Cytherian shields and armor using what appeared to be crude kinetic weapons and primitive energy projectors. The engagement reports suggested that the humans had achieved victory through numerical superiority and tactical coordination rather than technological advancement. How many ships do these creatures possess? Demanded Zithic, his translated voice, carrying harmonics of irritation and concern. Intelligence Coordinator Vorthik consulted his data streams before responding with what could only be described as alarmed confusion. Initial estimates suggested fewer than 100 military vessels total. Current observations indicate they have constructed over 300 new warships in the past 6 months, with production continuing at an exponential rate. The implications were disturbing. Humanity had transformed their entire civilization into a war machine with a speed that challenged Cytherian understanding of industrial logistics. Their species appeared capable of rapid technological adaptation, combined with manufacturing capacity that exceeded theoretical projections. Meanwhile, the human fleet continued its advance through previously secure Cytherian space with the methodical persistence of a natural disaster. Admiral Torres had divided her forces into hunting packs that systematically eliminated alien patrols while gathering intelligence about their enemies, infrastructure, and defensive positions. Captain Lisa Harper commanded the scout ship Silent. Hunter, whose stealth systems allowed close observation of Cytherian installations without detection. Her reports painted a picture of an alien civilization that had grown complacent through centuries of unchallenged dominance. Their defense stations are impressive but predictable, Harper transmitted to Fleet Command. They rely on massive shield generators and heavy weapons platforms positioned to repel frontal assaults. However, their sensor networks show significant blind spots that mobile forces could exploit. The intelligence proved accurate when Commander Ryan Foster led a squadron of fast attack craft through the outer defenses of a Cytherian supply depot. His ships moved like schools of metallic fish, darting between sensor sweeps, while targeting the station's critical systems with precision strikes. The depot's destruction sent shockwaves through Cytherian space that extended far beyond its strategic value. For the first time, humans had penetrated deep into alien territory and successfully attacked a fortified position. The message was clear. Nowhere in Cytherian space was truly safe from human retaliation, but the most significant psychological impact came from the human fleet's apparent disregard for traditional rules of engagement. Where other species would have negotiated or sought diplomatic solutions, humans simply continued their relentless advance toward the core systems where their children were being held. Fleet Admiral Torres received increasingly frantic communications from Cytherian commanders offering various forms of negotiation. Each message was met with the same response: return our children unharmed, or face the consequences of awakening humanity's protective instincts. The Cytherians discovered that they had provoked something unprecedented in their experience. They had encountered species with superior technology, others with greater numbers, and many with fierce warrior traditions. But they had never faced beings who approached warfare with the systematic determination of parents seeking their stolen children. Human forces continued their advance with mechanical precision, leaving behind them a trail of disabled Cytherian installations and growing alien panic. The galaxy was beginning to learn that humanity possessed something far more dangerous than advanced weapons or superior numbers. They had motivation that transcended mere conquest or survival. The reckoning, the Cytherian home system of Thyro, had stood unconquered for over 2 millennia, protected by orbital defense platforms that could shatter moons and fleet formations that had never known defeat. Its inhabitants had watched the human advance through their territory with growing alarm, but few believed that these primitive beings could threaten their ultimate stronghold. They were catastrophically wrong. Admiral Torres brought the entire human fleet out of hyperspace at the system's edge, their ships forming a battle formation that stretched across millions of kilometers of space. The iron resolve led the formation, like a metallic spearhead aimed directly at the heart of Cytherian civilization. The alien defenders responded with confidence born of centuries of superiority. Their command ships moved to intercept with weapons, charging and shields at maximum power, while defense platforms swiveled to track the approaching human fleet. Overlord Zithik himself commanded the defense from aboard the Eternal Dominion, convinced that superior technology would ultimately prevail. What followed was not a battle in any traditional sense. It was a demonstration of what happened when an entire species channeled their parental fury into the tools of warfare. Human ships attacked and coordinated, waves that overwhelmed individual Cytherian vessels through sheer concentrated firepower. Their weapons had been upgraded with salvaged alien technology, their tactics refined through months of constant combat, and their determination hardened by the knowledge that their children waited somewhere among the enemy fleet. Captain Sean, aboard the Iron Resolve, punched through the alien defensive line like a battering ram, his ship's massive bulk absorbing enemy fire while returning devastating volleys that crippled entire squadrons. Behind him came the rest of humanity's wrath, in the form of ships named after concepts that Cytherians had never truly understood: parental love, protective instinct, family honor. The tide turned when human boarding parties began capturing alien vessels intact. Soldiers trained in zero-gravity combat swarmed through Cytherian ships with the efficiency of antibodies attacking infection, systematically overwhelming defenders who had never faced enemies willing to accept massive casualties in pursuit of victory. Overlord Zithik found himself facing a communication request from Admiral Torres, transmitted from the bridge of his own flagship, which had somehow been captured while he watched. The human admiral appeared on his screen with the calm satisfaction of someone who had achieved everything they had set out to accomplish. "Your children are being prepared for transport to our ships," Torres announced without preamble. "They are unharmed and will remain so as long as you comply with our terms." The irony was not lost on the Catherian leader. His species had used human children as leverage to control their parents, never considering that those same parents might prove capable of reversing the situation. "What are your demands?" Zifik asked, his harmonics carrying the bitter taste. Of defeat, Torres smiled with the cold satisfaction of a predator that had finally cornered its prey. Unconditional surrender, complete withdrawal from all human-claimed systems, and formal recognition of humanity's right to expand wherever we choose throughout this galaxy. The transport ships began arriving within hours, their holds filled with children who had been taken from their families and used as bargaining chips by beings who had never understood the lengths to which human parents would go to protect their young. Emma Webb was among the first to be reunited with her father aboard the New Dawn, which had been rebuilt and recommissioned as a hospital ship. Captain Webb held his daughter while watching the defeated Catherian fleet surrendering ship by ship, their crews finally understanding what they had awakened. The galaxy learned a new truth that day. Humanity was no longer confined to their small corner of space, no longer willing to accept the limitations that other species tried to impose upon them. They had proven themselves capable of transforming from curious explorers into relentless warriors when their families were threatened. The Terran Empire was born not from conquest or ambition, but from the simple desire of parents to recover their stolen children. And every species in the galaxy now understood that humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or their numbers. It was their absolute refusal to abandon those they loved.